think this will really shake people for a very long time to come. We've still got ambulances arriving at the hospital. We did hear at that press conference that although the number of patients at the moment was at about 29, they are expecting that possibly to rise. People are still arriving at hospitals. This is such an unfolding situation. They're still trying to get more information, and as you heard from that woman who was trying to locate her husband, she didn't even know where he'd been taken. So there's a lot of people out there tonight who are just really concerned and desperately trying to find out what's happening to their loved ones. And obviously we'll bring you more information as soon as we get it, but we are expecting a full update tomorrow, as you said. But it's really an unfolding situation, and the police at that press conference were really telling people to, not speculate on social media and sort of listen to official channels, and also to stay calm, and for people to know that the police are doing everything possible to control this situation, and they were throwing all resources at this.
Elise Worthington, our ABC reporter, thank you so much for your brilliant and heartfelt reporting tonight at St Vincent's Hospital.
Thank you.
Our reporter Digby Worthmuller is on the ground at Bondi. He spoke with one witness, Cassius, who was leaving Bondi icebergs at the north end of the beach when the attack unfolded.
Just saw loads of people running on the beach. Everyone was shook up, didn't know what to do. I saw a few old ladies being pushed over in the commotion. Everyone was just freaked out and didn't really know what was happening, because it's just like, Bondi Beach is the most safest place in the world. No one expects it to happen. And then when I got everyone to safety in Bondi icebergs, I ran down to see if my mate was okay. He was just staying right where it was happening. And then, while I was running down, he was shook up. He saw the whole thing happen, unfold. And, it's really sad to see. I saw a few bodies laying on the ground, and it's just not what you want to see in Australia. It's like very sad to see on a lovely Sunday,
It's tragic what has gone on here. In terms of what you saw, though, when those gunshots rang out, were you in icebergs and then you came out?
I was in icebergs, then I came out, and then I could hear the whole thing happening, and it was weird. It felt like it was just fireworks going off, but then when everyone was running, I could hear it it went for a good 5 to 10 minutes, just people running, screaming, and it was something like I was having a bad dream or something. It just didn't seem right. Like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
And after those sort of gunshots rang out in the sort of aftermath, was emergency services pretty quick to come in the helicopter?
To be fair, my honest opinion, I think they were a bit late to the scene, and I'm not blaming emergency services or the police, because you don't expect none of this. Never happens. This never happens. But there was a good 10 minutes of this commotion happening, gunshots happening, everything, and it's just so sad to see. And I just want to give applaud to the old man. He tackled that shooter. He deserves all the praise in the world, because it's very brave to do what he did, put his body on the line to save more people from getting killed. And I wish if I was in that position, I'd hope I'd do the same thing. But massive applause to that guy.
Well, thank you for speaking with me, and stay safe out there tonight.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
I think, Bella, it's something that Elise Worthington said just a short time about her phone and all of her group chats lighting up with people checking on each other. I think if my phone's anything to go by, it's a similar sort of scenario, and it is something we're trying to start to grapple with at this time in the sort of early hours of the morning at this point, just how deeply affected people in Sydney and people beyond will feel when such an iconic site is hit with such a tragic and violent event targeted at the Jewish community, but affecting everyone, not just the Jewish community.
And we know a number of people have died, and it will deeply impact those families, but so many other people involved in this event down at Bondi Beach, enjoying a pleasant summer afternoon, and just people who are part of that community, and all the people who love Bondi Beach and who are in Sydney and feel really shaken that this could happen in their own backyard.
It is about 1:45 in Sydney at the moment, 6 hours since one of Sydney's iconic landmarks was the site of a terror attack. 12 people have been killed, including one of the gunmen, after that terrorist attack at a Jewish event in Sydney's Bondi Beach. At least 29 other people have been injured in the mass shooting, and that total includes 2 police officers. The shooting took place at a Hanukkah celebration, with the Prime Minister labelling it an act of evil anti-Semitism, striking at the heart of the nation.
Was it gunshots?
I don't know.
Sheer panic in Bondi. Terrified beachgoers run for their lives as shot after shot rings out.
Everyone was just running and there were bullets and there were so many of them and we were really scared. We didn't know where they were coming from. We just didn't know. And we were just running and running and I was thinking, we're not going to hide.
The iconic beach had been packed with people enjoying the summer's evening. Tourists and families forced to flee.
I look two men, mini sniper. He say in the pond white and bomb, 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 everything, man, bomb, bomb. The man in the gun, he say me, I go before the car, yes.
He aimed at you?
Moi. There is one car, I say this, I'm cashed. I listen, boom, boom, I cashed.
Many taking cover inside nearby restaurants.
We ran into behind the kitchen and we were just hiding in a room and there were lots of children there. Their parents weren't there because this was a kids' party basically and lots of kids crying. It was really horrible.
The two shooters used long-armed weapons to open fire from a bridge onto a park where members of Sydney's Jewish community had gathered to celebrate Hanukkah.
This is a targeted attack on Jewish Australians on the first day of Hanukkah, which should be a day of joy, a celebration of faith, an act of evil anti-Semitism, terrorism that has struck the heart of our nation.
Our heart bleeds for Australia's Jewish community tonight. I can only imagine the pain that they're feeling right now to see their loved ones killed as they celebrate this ancient holiday. It's the responsibility of all Australians to wrap their arms around Australia's Jewish community and help them get through this incredibly difficult period.
Israel's president praying for the victims.
Our heart goes out to them. Our heart misses a beat. The entire nation of Israel misses a beat in this very moment as we pray for the recovery of the wounded. We pray for them and we pray for those who've lost their lives.
Amid the chaos, an extraordinary act of bravery. One of the shooters tackled and disarmed by a member of the public.
It's the most unbelievable scene I've ever seen. A man walking up to a gunman who had fired on the community and single-handedly disarming him, putting his own life at risk to save the lives of countless other people. That man is a genuine hero, and I've got no doubt that there are many, many people alive tonight as a result of his bravery.
One of the shooters has been identified as Naveed Akram. His home at Bonnyrigg in Sydney's southwest was raided by police. Authorities quickly declaring the shooting a terrorist attack. Improvised explosive devices were also found in a nearby car in Bondi before being removed by the bomb squad.
Why did you declare it a terrorist attack?
There was a range of circumstances. Obviously, the fact that it's the first day of Hanukkah, the types of weapons, the offenders, some of the other items we found at the scene. As I said, we have found an improvised explosive device in a car which is linked to the deceased offender. So there's a range of circumstances, and obviously the Jewish community has a right to feel safe.
As investigations proceed, Australia's terror threat will remain at probable.
National terrorism threat level at probable means there's a 50% chance, so 1 in 2, of course. That doesn't mean to say there's a connection to an immediate attack following this one. That is subject to our ongoing investigation. We have no indications that that is the concern at this stage.
In this moment of darkness, we must be each other's light. Hold on to the true character of the country that we love. Australia is stronger than the cowards who attacked innocent people today. Australia is braver than those who seek to make us afraid. Australia will never submit to division, violence or hatred.
A call for unity in the face of horror. Jade McMillan, ABC News.
Let's bring you some more reactions to this terror attack. Allegra Spender is the federal member for Wentworth. That's the local electorate that Bondi Beach is in.
She's released a statement saying this is horrifying. It's still not clear exactly what has happened yet. The reporting is police have apprehended the perpetrators. I am urging people to follow police requests and avoid Bondi Beach. This is not the Australia that we know and love. I know our community will come together on this.
Our National Affairs correspondent Jane Norman has more from Parliament House in Canberra.
The PM has stepped up after a meeting of Cabinet's National Security Committee. Now, it's not often that the government publicly confirms these meetings. They're a high-powered grouping of Cabinet ministers who can make decisions that don't require the sign-off of the broader Cabinet. But I think that this was really a show from the Prime Minister that they are taking tonight's terror attack extraordinarily seriously, extremely seriously, and they want the Australian public to know that all resources are being devoted to really investigating what has gone on and to keep not only Jewish Australians but the broader Australian community safe. Now, it was interesting to hear the Prime Minister immediately and plainly declare this an attack targeted at the Jewish community. In his words, an act of evil anti-Semitism, terrorism, he said, that struck at the heart of our nation. And he basically pledged to throw all resources at keeping Australia's Jewish community safe. Now, you might remember before the May election, the Albanese government copped a lot of criticism from the opposition for being flat-footed in the response to a wave of anti-Semitic attacks that swept across Australia in recent years in response to really the Gaza war. So the government knows that this is a sensitive issue, and so tonight we had the Prime Minister really coming out on the front foot to assure Australians that A, this is an attack targeting Jewish Australians, and B, that the government was doing everything possible to keep the community safe and throw resources at it. Now, the other important thing to note tonight was that the PM was standing alongside ASIO boss Mike Burgess. Mr Burgess confirming that the national terror threat level remains at its current level of probable, which means that there's about a 50% chance of an act of terror, which is what Mr Burgess said we saw in Australia this evening.
And what do you make of the commentary there's been so far from some quarters about the approach of the Albanese government to anti-Semitism over the past couple of years?
Well, I think the government really tried to draw a line in the sand after the election, Joe, when they appointed Gillian Segal as the anti-Semitism envoy. And at the time, Ms Segal reported back in July, I should say, with a report to combat anti-Semitism. Now, we're actually still awaiting the government's sort of fulsome response to that report. The PM said tonight that he was still very much committed to acting on the recommendations. One of the recommendations was to bolster security at Jewish institutions. So this would be things like, obviously, places of worship, Jewish schools, and he said tonight that he was very much open to increasing funding. So that is one of the recommendations, but there are many more, and I think you would hear from people like Gillian Segal sort of telling the government to get on with acting on the rest of the recommendations. But it is probably a sensitive issue for the government, given the criticism it copped in the past. Now, the Albanese government would reject the accusation that it was slow or flat-footed in responding to the initial wave of anti-Semitic attacks. However, now we can see the Prime Minister very much on the front foot on what has been a devastating terrorist attack at Bondi Beach tonight.
Jane, it's worth actually taking you to some of those comments from Gillian Segal in her statement tonight. She's made some quite strong statements saying tonight marks the worst fear of the Australian Jewish community becoming reality, and saying this moment demands clarity. This is not the Australia we know. It cannot be the Australia we accept. Australia responded decisively after Port Arthur in 1996, and this moment requires the same action. So a strong call to action there from Gillian Segal that the federal government will now be asked to respond to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think it was probably predictable, given that, as I was saying, the Prime Minister acknowledging that the government hasn't yet fully responded to her plan to combat anti-Semitism. The government has sort of had an initial response to that, but there are still some recommendations that are really outstanding. And so there will be a lot of pressure now on the Albanese government to turn its focus to anti-Semitism and combating the scourge of anti-Semitism. And you can kind of see that that's where a bit of the political debate is going tonight, because whereas the government was a bit more circumspect in very quickly identifying who was the target tonight. We did see MPs on X and Instagram identifying that, but the government wanted to get its security agencies together to really understand and know who was behind this attack and who was the target of it before calling it out as an attack on Jewish Australians. But in a sort of an indication of where the politics might go, we saw Liberal backbencher Andrew Hastie on social media saying, obviously, we don't know the full details yet, but we can perhaps guess at the motive behind the attack. And he said, this isn't the Australia we know and that Australia must change. We know behind the scenes without knowing anything about the attackers tonight. I'm not making any, predictions or anything like that, but there is a debate behind the scenes in the Liberal Party about Australia's immigration levels and immigration generally. And so you can kind of see all of these issues really, reaching a sort of an inflection point in politics where immigration, anti-Semitism, these issues will all kind of merge.
That was our National Affairs reporter Jane Norman looking at some of the political reaction to this event. Now, earlier tonight we heard from New South Wales Premier Chris Minns as well as the New South Wales Police Commissioner.
The Premier says the attack's being met with a massive, comprehensive police and public order response.
This cowardly act of terrifying violence is shocking and painful to see and represents some of our worst fears about terrorism in Sydney. I very sadly need to report that as of now, there are at least 12 individuals that have been killed. One of the offenders has also been killed and one is in custody. This attack was designed to target Sydney's Jewish community on the first day of Hanukkah. What should have been a night of peace and joy celebrated in that community with families and supporters has been shattered by this horrifying, evil attack. Commissioner Lanyon will speak about the investigation, the police response, as well as the designation of this attack as a terrorism event in Sydney. I can assure the community it will be met with a massive, comprehensive police and public order response. Our heart bleeds for Australia's Jewish community tonight. I can only imagine the pain that they're feeling right now to see their loved ones killed as they celebrate this ancient holiday. It's the responsibility of all Australians to wrap their arms around Australia's Jewish community and help them get through this incredibly difficult period. This is a massive, complex and just beginning investigation. It's just begun, and there are things that tonight we don't have the answers to. However, we do have answers to some crucial pieces of information for our wonderful city and our beautiful state. The first one is the outpouring of love and support from ordinary Australians for Australia's Jewish community is real. Secondly, today is another example of the enormous pressure and responsibility, the danger that New South Wales Police regularly face as part of their job. They do it without faltering. They didn't falter today. We need them. And thirdly, tonight saw extraordinary acts of personal courage and bravery from individuals in our community. And I think it's worth remembering that in all of this evil, in all of this sadness, there are still wonderful, brave Australians that are prepared to risk their lives to help a complete stranger. Anything New South Wales Police needs in terms of resources, we will provide them. If there's changes that need to be made, we will do that immediately. I mean, we need to be in a situation where we're sending a clear and unambiguous message to the Jewish community, in fact, every Australian that lives in this state, that these horrible acts of violence will never be tolerated, and anyone who perpetrates them, we will throw the book at. Anyone who's thinking about it will be thoroughly investigated. This is a terrible night for Sydney, but I think it's important to say we can't let these evil people divide Australia up. We need to be in a situation where, as shocking as this is, there are still wonderful people in the Bondi community right throughout New South Wales. That's what these terrorists want. They want Australians divided and at each other's throats, and we can't let that happen. In fact, we won't let that happen.
We know that there were many people there to celebrate a happy occasion, the celebration of Hanukkah, and there was well over 1,000 people there when this took place. As a result of the circumstances of the incident tonight, At 9:36 p.m. this evening, I declared this to be a terrorist incident. I have also authorised special powers under Section 5 and Section 6 to ensure that if there is a third offender, and we are currently investigating that at the moment, we will make sure that we prevent any further activity. Section 6 allows us to investigate today's incident. There is a massive police response, and I think as journalists you have seen how quickly and promptly the police responded. I'm incredibly proud of the professionalism of our police and emergency service responders. They have done a fantastic job. Unfortunately, it's only several years ago that Bondi occurred, at Bondi Junction. We have learnt a lot from that, and tonight ambulance and police and other emergency responders acted promptly and professionally to do a great job there. We will have a significant investigation. Our Counter-Terrorism Command will lead this investigation with investigators from the State Crime Command. No stone will be left unturned. This type of disgraceful activity, this wanton use of violence, the taking of innocent lives is unacceptable to New South Wales. It's not our way of life. I've been very clear since I've been the Commissioner that as a police force, we won't stand for this type of violence. I'm personally offended. You have seen that the police have already taken prompt action. The Premier has mentioned one of the offenders is deceased, the second one is in serious condition at hospital. We will focus to ensure that there is no further threat to the public. Could I ask, but this is a time of calm. This is a time where I want to make sure that there is no retribution. The police are investigating thoroughly. We have acted promptly. We have taken decisive action. Could I just ask for calm in the community? Allow the police to do our job. We will work closely with community, and I'll continue to provide updates about the investigation as they go on. Unfortunately, in these sort of circumstances, we get information from a range of areas. We tend to be as safe as we possibly can so that we know that we have two definite offenders, but we want to make sure the community is safe. So we will run down this investigation. The reason that we have so many investigators out tonight is we can make sure that that happens. The fact that we've declared this as a terrorist incident, we've provided special powers, is to make sure that we prevent any further. I cannot confirm there is a third offender, but I want to make sure there's no stone left unturned. We have police right around the city at the moment to make sure that all of the community is safe. I don't want to go into too much specific activity. Our job is to respond to intelligence we get, respond to information, but make sure the community is safe. So unashamedly, we do have a lot of public order and rights squad and other police out on the streets at the moment to make sure there is calm. This disgraceful act will not go unpunished.
So that's the New South Wales Police Commissioner and the Premier, Chris Minns. Still a few things we don't know about, well, a lot we don't know about this incident, but in particular that third potential co-conspirator, the third person that may have been involved in this incident. I expect we'll get an update from police in the morning on that, and there'll be lots and lots of questions about the police response and the investigation that's underway when that happens. Let's get some more reaction. Let's head overseas now to the former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, who says the attack in Bondi happened as a result of poor political leadership, failing to tackle anti-Semitism across Australia.
Mr Bennett spoke to our Middle East correspondent Matthew Doran shortly before New South Wales Police and the Prime Minister confirmed it was a terror attack.
Our hearts are broken here in Israel. Our brothers and sisters in Sydney were massacred by what seems to be terrorists, anti-Semite terrorists. But I have to say that we're not surprised. The writing was on the wall, and we've seen a wave of anti-Semitism in Australia, and we've also seen a very feeble response from the Australian leadership. We time and again said that this would happen, and not much was done. We have to fight anti-Semitism so this can never happen again. It's not isolated to Australia. It happens in countries where the leadership doesn't have enough moral courage to stand up against anti-Semitism for political reasons, for God knows what reasons, and sort of fudges it. If you don't stop it when it's early, then it inflates, and people can come under the feeling that it's okay to hurt Jews, to attack Jews verbally and then physically. Everyone knows this was a Hanukkah party of Jews on Bondi Beach. Does anyone in the world think that this has to do with something else? We all know what it is. We all know the Jewish community is under attack. I'm not suggesting that he needs to talk about the particular perpetrators, even though there's gathering information about them. But there is a context here. And this is very symbolic of the past 2 years and the weakness and the closing, shutting your eyes against evil. Evil happens when good people sit aside and allow evil to happen. And that's what's going on. This can be a turning point for the Australian government to say enough is enough. We're going to call it what it is, and we're going to fight back and defend our citizens.
Matt Graham is the pastor at the Bondi Anglican Church, located just 100 metres from the scene.
He assisted some of the people who were running to safety and was conducting a service when the attack occurred.
We're sort of mingling, and we just sort of noticed people just sort of running past the entrance to our church. And one lady came in and she would just looked petrified. And obviously we're like, oh, are you all right? And there was someone, it looked like chasing her. And we thought, oh, is that guy chasing you? We went, and then she kept on running, and then there were just more people running. And we're like, what is going on? And then we just heard more gunshots, just bang, bang, bang. And we're like, okay, something big is happening right now. It was crazy. And we, yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, you actually opened the doors of the church up. Is that right, to let people?
Yeah, well, initially we locked down, obviously, and stuff like that. And there were people here, and people came and just sat and looked after each other and prayed, and some people sung and worshipped, which was beautiful. A few people went out on the street just to help. Once it was sort of all clear, we opened up the church, and we've had people here all night. We've had just, because people are just gradually moving away from there, and people have been trying to find family members. People are confused and in grief. We've had a number of people wandering in going, my car's down there and I can't get home. And so we've got people who have been shuttling people to their homes all across Sydney. Some of the lifeguards all from the surf club who stepped in to help with first aid have been up here doing a bit of debrief. And we're getting people walking in constantly, just needing a bit of food or a hug or a prayer. And so, yeah, I think we're going to be open all week, I think, by the looks of it, just being here in the community and seeing how we can help.
And how are people in the church, especially those that were there when it happened, how are they feeling? How are they coping?
Yeah, there's mixed emotions. There's disbelief, there's outrage, there's people just stepping up and wanting to be helpful in this time, which is really beautiful. It was actually really beautiful. There's a few of us who have been here a long time, and a guy from over the road just bought a big pot of pasta for us just so we can have some food, which was great. But I think people are not scared, but the people are a little bit outraged. I think it's like, it's just not necessarily a wake-up call, but it sort of is a wake-up call for some people. Obviously, living in Bondi, I'm surrounded by anti-Semitic graffiti constantly. It got cleaned up this week. There's lots going on. And I think this is a bigger wake-up call, I think, for our community in the East. And as a Christian, I just want to say I stand with the people of Israel. And just in this time, especially in this community, and we're here to help, and just want to be a place for them to, we can walk this together as well.
Yeah, tell us about how religious communities are feeling, Matt. This has obviously been described, it's been called by authorities as a terrorist, an attack on people of the Jewish faith in Australia. You are part of a religious community as well. Do you almost feel like it's an attack on your own communities as well?
Yeah, to be honest, I just heard just before this phone call, talking to you now, that it was that, because I've just been running around with people. I haven't actually been staying up to date with what's going on. And it's horrible. It's disgusting that this is a terror attack. To me, evil is a real thing. And I think for many people don't really like to engage in that, but evil is real. And I probably can't comment on everyone in my church and what they're thinking in this time and stuff like that. Haven't had enough chance to sit down and process properly with people. But in a weird way, I'm not surprised by this. I'm grieved and saddened by it. And I'm motivated to, Christ's love compels me to love in this time. And so I want to as a faith community that follows Jesus, want to be Jesus' hands and feet in this time, and to be people of grace and love and joy, but also justice. And so I'm not sure what that means at the moment, but we're here for our community.
Matt, I was just going to say, this is obviously a horrific attack. It's the second attack that Sydney's eastern suburbs has faced, with mass shooting incidents in the last year and a half. We had the Bondi Junction attack just in April of last year. So I think for a lot of people that we've been speaking to, that attack feels very fresh in people's minds.
Yeah.
And I understand a member of your family is feeling that particularly today as well.
Yeah, my youngest daughter. I actually, the first time I ever let my youngest daughter go up to Bondi Junction on her own was that horrific time at Bondi Junction. And then she was here tonight and she could hear the gunshots, and I ran out to help some other people, and other people were looking after her, but I ran back to check on her, and she was just like, in the last 2 years of my life, I've been in a stabbing, and now I've been right near a shooting. And so there's going to be some big questions for her, but she's a brave girl, and she's got a lot of good people around her. And also she actually was joining us just 15, 20 minutes ago for a time of just prayer and worship, which I think was really meaningful to her as well. But it is crazy to think that in beautiful Bondi Beach that we've had 2 incidents like this in the last 2 years. Just crazy.
Just finally, Matt, what are your plans for the church for the next, hours and days ahead? Are you, wanting to keep the doors open?
Yeah, I'll keep the doors open here for an hour and a bit. Things are quieting down a little bit. A lot of people who have processed have head home to bed and things like that. There are still a few floating around, so we'll be here for a little bit, for another half hour, another hour. We'll see how it goes, depending what the need is. And then we'll be doing some stuff during the week. I think tomorrow here we're just going to be open all day, and there'll be people here just ready to help in any way. I know the surf club, their building's out of action at the moment, so they can come and just do whatever they need to do here. And obviously leading up to Christmas, we've got all our Christmas stuff to get done as well, which will obviously change the tone a little bit. But we're open for prayer, we're open for counselling, we're open for just people that want to sit in stillness. If people are in need or just need help, please come and visit in. We'd love to be able to help in that way.
Well, Matt Graham, the pastor at the Bondi Anglican Church, just 100 metres or so from this the scene of this terror attack. Thank you for the support you were able to offer to your community, and you do stay safe as well.
Okay, thank you.
Dana Farfan lives in North Bondi and was near the bridge when this shooting took place.
I was actually walking down to North Bondi Fish with my friend when I passed Raw Bar, and we were walking down the street and we heard a few bangs, and we see that there was a Hanukkah festival going on, and I was like, oh, fireworks, like that's exciting. We jumped a little bit when we heard it because it was very loud, and then my friend looks at me and we were just laughing about the fact that it was fireworks. And then we stop, and then I look over, and then I see all these people running and screaming, and then I said, that's not fireworks. I turned to my friend and I grab her hand and I say, it's a shooting. I say, it's a shooting, we need to run. And I grab her and I start bolting. I'm bolting for my life. I look behind, I see thousands of people, hundreds of people just running and running. And then I pass the crepe shop at the end near the park, and I turn the corner, and the first car I saw, I just jumped to the car. I banged on the window and I said, hey guys, can you please let my friends and I in? There's a shooting. And I didn't know what to think. I just went fight or flight. I jumped in the car, and then the next thing I know, there's another girl who came in. She jumped on top of us in the car. My friend was on the floor of the car. I was in the middle of the car, and then the new girl who just jumped in was on the left of us. And these boys, they start flooring the car. I'm terrified. We don't know what's going on. At this point, we can still hear the gunshots. We speed up the street. We turn left, and then they drop us home. I run into my house and I explained to my dad what's going on, and at first initial reaction, he didn't even believe me, because Bondi is such a safe community. It's the last thing I'd ever think to happen on a Sunday with families and friends around. Bondi's always been such a safe community. It's been a bubble, and so my dad didn't believe me until we heard police sirens, and then that was when it really clicked, and we were just in shock, the three of us. We didn't know what to think, we didn't know what to feel, and it's just devastating to think that this would happen before Hanukkah and Christmas, on a night that's meant to be so peaceful for families, the Jewish community, and friends and people who are visiting Australia. And the image this is put onto our community is just awful, and it's shocking, and yeah, it's
And
insane.
Dana, you would be, as a local, you'd be familiar with that bridge that the gunmen were on. How far do you think you were from that bridge when you heard those shots?
When I heard the gunshots, I was honestly opposite it, pretty much.
On Campbell Parade.
Yeah. So I did, initially when we were at Raw Bar, I did see two men in just wearing black. I didn't see any gun. I didn't see anything. I didn't think anything. It's Bondi. It's safe. I cross that bridge every day. My mum walks our dog on that bridge every day. So I would never think anything of it. And then it just goes to show how safe of a community we think it is when I believe it's fireworks. And then when I saw the look on people's faces, it just clicked to me straight away that I just had to start running. And then I did remember a guy actually came bolting past us as well, telling us to run, but I didn't think anything of it until I really saw the hundreds of people just start running.
And Dana, have you been kind of born and bred in Bondi? And if so, what do you know about the Jewish community and how important the Jewish community is to the Bondi scene?
Yeah, I was born and bred in Bondi. So my friend that I was with was actually Jewish. So she did actually want to go to the festival. I didn't particularly want to go just because we had plans, but yeah, that's why it's also so freakish to me. But yeah, the Jewish community, it's very strong. It's very big, especially in the eastern suburbs around Bondi and Dover Heights. And tonight was meant to be a peaceful night for them, a night of celebration, and it was cut short. So.
Okay, yeah. Dana, thanks for talking to us. And yeah, this has obviously affected the families and friends of those who've died terribly and those who've injured, but also people like you who've been through the trauma of this and witnessed it. So thanks for talking to us this evening.
Yeah, thank you.
Sydney and Australia is reeling tonight after a terror attack on one of the country's most iconic landmarks. The nation is grieving. 12 people have died and at least 29 more are injured after a mass shooting at Bondi Beach.
The terrorist attack was targeted at a Jewish event this evening, being held to mark the first day of Hanukkah. The Prime Minister has called it an act of evil anti-Semitism, striking at the heart of the nation, while the New South Wales Premier has vowed an investigation will leave no stone unturned.
Is there gunshots? I don't know. Sheer panic in Bondi. Terrified beachgoers run for their lives as shot after shot rings out.
Everyone was just running and there were bullets and there were so many of them and we were really scared. just running and running, and I was thinking, we're not going to hide.
The iconic beach had been packed with people enjoying the summer's evening. Tourists and families forced to flee.
I look two men, mini sniper. He say in the pond white and bomb, everything, man, bomb. The man in the gun, he say me, I go before the car, yes.
He aimed at you?
Moi, there is one car, I say this, I'm cashed. I listen, boom, I cashed.
Many taking cover inside nearby restaurants.
We ran into behind the kitchen and we were just hiding in a room, and there were lots of children there. Their parents weren't there because this was a kids' party basically, and lots of kids crying. It was really horrible.
The two shooters used long-armed weapons to open fire from a bridge onto a park where members of Sydney's Jewish community had gathered to celebrate Hanukkah.
This is a targeted attack on Jewish Australians on the first day of Hanukkah, which should be a day of joy, a celebration of faith. An act of evil anti-Semitism, terrorism, that has struck the heart of our nation.
Our heart bleeds for Australia's Jewish community tonight. I can only imagine the pain that they're feeling right now to see their loved ones killed as they celebrate this ancient holiday. It's a responsibility of all Australians to wrap their arms around Australia's Jewish community and help them get through this incredibly difficult period.
Israel's president praying for the victims.
Our heart goes out to them. Our heart misses a beat. The entire nation of Israel misses a beat in this very moment as we pray for the recovery of the wounded. We pray for them, and we pray for those who've lost their lives.
Amid the chaos, an extraordinary act of bravery. One of the shooters tackled and disarmed by a member of the public.
It's the most unbelievable scene I've ever seen. A man walking up to a gunman who had fired on the community and single-handedly disarming him, putting his own life at risk to save the lives of countless other people. That man is a genuine hero, and I've got no doubt that there are many, many people alive tonight as a result of his bravery.
One of the shooters has been identified as Naveed Akram. His home at Bondi Beach in Sydney's southwest was raided by police. Authorities quickly declaring the shooting a terrorist attack. Improvised explosive devices were also found in a nearby car in Bondi before being removed by the bomb squad.
Why did you declare it a terrorist attack?
There was a range of circumstances. Obviously, the fact that it's the first day of Hanukkah, the types of weapons, the offenders, some of the other items we found at the scene. As I said, we have found an improvised explosive device in a car which is linked to the deceased offender. So there's a range of circumstances, and obviously the Jewish community has a right to feel safe.
As investigations proceed, Australia's terror threat will remain at probable.
National terrorism threat level at probable means there's a 50% chance, so 1 in 2, of course. That doesn't mean to say there's a connection to an immediate attack following this one. That is subject to our ongoing investigation. We have no indications that that is the concern at this stage.
In this moment of darkness, we must be each other's light. Hold on to the true character of the country that we love. Australia is stronger than the cowards who attacked innocent people today. Australia is braver than those who seek to make us afraid. Australia will never submit to division, violence or hatred.
A call for unity in the face of horror. Jade McMillan, ABC News.
And our reporter Digby Worthmiller has more from the scene in Bondi.
I'm situated at the police cordon in North Bondi, just a little bit down from where the North Bondi RSL is, and so we've been here for the majority of this evening since that shooting took place, and police are still hanging about. There's still a heavy police presence here. A little over maybe 20 minutes ago, we saw some forensic vans leaving the scene. This area was cleared by police around an hour to 2 hours ago as that threat of explosives was resolved, and they found those explosives inside a vehicle and then relocated them in an armoured vehicle to a different location. It was also confirmed that 29 people have also been presenting to hospitals in Sydney, as well as 12 dead, including the gunman himself. So as I look around the scene now, there are some armed police vehicles over there, but they're just sort of making sure that their presence is still seen and felt in this area tonight. Right now, no locals are hanging around. They've all sort of gone home, and so there isn't much else happening here. And then police are yet to provide an update, and the next update that we can expect to hear from them will be tomorrow morning, and we'll get a better idea of how many people presented to hospital and a little bit more detail on the events tonight here in Bondi.
We'll also be hoping to get some more detail on the status of this potential third co-conspirator, for want of a better word. There is still that question mark about whether someone else was involved.
Yeah, that's right. When police held their press conference a little earlier tonight around 10 p.m, they did suspect that there was potentially a third person involved with this shooting, but they couldn't verify that or confirm that, so they are still working to find out whether there was a third person involved and whether they need to track him or her down. So that piece of information hopefully we'll get an update on in the morning. Right now, all we really know is that 29 people are presenting to hospitals, and that number is expected to rise as there were others also presenting to hospital.
And Digby, we know there's been an outpouring of grief across not just Australia but the entire world, and you've been seeing some of that at the scene where you are.
Yeah, it's been a really tough evening. We've seen a lot of people, locals here in Bondi. I myself even get my hair cut up the road here in Bondi by a friend, and everyone that was down here this evening, there was just this look of shock and disbelief on people's faces. They just couldn't quite believe what they were hearing or seeing as this event took place. And so since we've been here, we've been speaking with people, some people who watched the horrors unfold on this worldwide popular beach. And so the feeling this evening was very much an eerie sense of just people couldn't quite really grasp the gravity of how big of how big this whole situation has been. And so over the coming days, I think it'll start to really unfold, and people will really start to feel, I guess, what has happened down here today.
I guess this will be an emotional scene for some time. We were talking to you earlier, you were saying some people had already started turning up with floral tributes, with wanting to just show their sort of respects and show how they were grieving.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, around 2 years ago, there was the Bondi stabbings, and flower tributes flooded in through there for the victims of that attack. Here this evening, we've had a couple of young gentlemen come down to this police cordon in North Bondi and place a couple of bouquets of flowers here for people, for the victims, and we can only imagine that that'll start to grow as we head over the next coming days and as the tributes start to flow. And the tributes have been coming in from far and wide across the world as these images beam across television screens, not just here in Australia, but across the Tasman and New Zealand, as far as London. I'm hearing reports that also people, are seeing it on their screens in Ireland. So it's beaming around the world was what has happened here tonight. And there will certainly still be all eyes on Australia and in the response to what happens now going forward, because as well the immediate danger is now over, it'll be very much so how we look at the response and find out more information tomorrow morning.
Digby, I suspect you've seen the first of many bouquets to come. Thanks again for the update and for staying down at Bondi Beach for us all night.
The nation is still coming to terms with this human tragedy. Our reporter Elise Worthington has been speaking to some of the families involved in this tragic incident outside St Vincent's Hospital in Sydney's east, where some people who have been injured have been taken. Here's the latest from Elise.
There's been family and friends coming and going from the hospital, really desperately trying to get information and seeking answers. About half an hour ago, we had a really visibly shaken woman come out, and she had blood on her, and she was saying that she was with her husband at the festival and he was shot and killed, but she didn't know where his body had been taken. So she has been going around trying to get any information she can. She wondered if he'd been taken here. They weren't able to help her, and she doesn't know what's going on and is just trying to get information. So it's still very early days, and families are just trying to get through to find out what's going on with their loved ones, and a lot of them are still undergoing surgery. We know many are in a critical condition with multiple gunshot wounds. A short time ago, we also had another family who had come out very teary and shaken, but with good news that their nephew, who was working as a security guard at the festival, they just got the news that his surgery had been successful and that he was going to be okay. And they were just saying this is just the most shocking incident that you would never expect to happen in Australia at Bondi Beach, and a terrorist attack on the Jewish community. And they're just saying that inside there are many family and friends just waiting for news and information about what's going on, and that it was chaos inside, really. So many people so sick, undergoing surgery, and family members desperate to find out what's happening.
Elise, devastating details, and it sounds like some people are living their worst nightmare tonight. You were also at a press conference with the Police Commissioner and the Premier. What were some of your takeaways from that event?
Well, they were really highlighting that they want the community to stay calm, but also how serious this situation is, and that there is still a third person they believe could be involved that they're trying to locate, and urging the community, not to speculate on social media, but highlighting that this has been designated a terrorist event now, which will come with it new powers that the police will be using to investigate and working with their state and federal counterparts. A short time ago, actually, the Police Commissioner did arrive at the hospital with a number of senior officers. They've walked in together to emergency, and there has been a really heavy police presence here at St Vincent's today. There's been large groups of detectives coming and going, and earlier an ambulance arrived under heavy police guard. The road was closed as it came into emergency. A patient was transported out, but they were shielded from view by a screen, which is not something we've seen with other patients, and they were under heavy police guard. Now, we haven't had confirmation about where the shooter has been taken for treatment, but we know that they are in police custody and they are receiving treatment. So we're yet to find out more about that, or the update on the other, as you mentioned, 29 patients that have been taken to hospitals across Sydney, including more than half a dozen that have come here to St Vincent's.
Elise, you've been at that hospital now for a number of hours, and you've been speaking to families who've been involved in this tragedy, but you were there also not so long ago, 2 years ago, after the Bondi Junction stabbing, and you have spoken tonight about how this is a community that has been traumatised before, the Bondi community having gone through something like this. Can you talk us through your reflections at this time?
It really is. I think for some time a lot of people, including myself, were quite on edge, and I think with the Bondi Junction incident we know that it was a horrible tragedy, and it was sort of a random attack in a sense by a person who had a mental illness, and we've obviously just had the inquest for that recently, so I think that's brought it up in a lot of people's minds. But to have something like this happen on a beautiful sunny day at such a busy location, I was having lunch at Bondi Beach this afternoon. It's just packed with people, families, children. It's an iconic location, really, to everyone in the world. It's instantly recognisable. and it is terrifying to think that perhaps that was part of, the idea of committing this heinous atrocity, to do it in such a public and recognisable place against the Jewish community is just really horrendous. And it's just unbelievable that something like this could happen. And I just know that so many families of my family, friends, are just so shaken, checking in to see that we're all right, because we were there a short time ago. And I think this will really shake people for a very long time to come. We've still got ambulances arriving at the hospital. We did hear at that press conference that although the number of patients at the moment was at about 29, they are expecting that possibly to rise. People are still arriving at hospitals. This is such an unfolding situation. They're still trying to get more information. And as you heard from that woman who was trying to locate her husband, she didn't even know where he'd been taken. So there's a lot of people out there tonight who are just really concerned and desperately trying to find out what's happening to their loved ones. And obviously we'll bring you more information as soon as we get it. But we are expecting a full update tomorrow, as you said. But it's really an unfolding situation. And the police at that press conference were really telling people to, not speculate on social media and sort of listen to official channels, and also to stay calm, and for people to know that the police are doing everything possible to control this situation, and they were throwing all resources at this.
Elise Worthington, our ABC reporter, thank you so much for your brilliant and heartfelt reporting tonight at St Vincent's Hospital.
Thank you.
And our reporters have been speaking to the family members of victims outside hospitals. Here's what they've had to say.
Came here, we weren't even sure if he was going to make it. It was that traumatic. So.
Can I ask his first name?
Ryan.
Ryan.
Yep.
And is he awake? Were you able to speak with him?
We weren't allowed to see him. His parents and sister have gone in, and we're waiting to hear. But hopefully he's going to be okay. We've been with him. We've been sitting with him.
They got the phone call when he was shot. He actually phoned him and said, I've been shot. And they stayed on the phone where they ran to him. And they got there and he was bleeding profusely. And then he was in a lot of pain and stuff like that. He was screaming in pain. And eventually the ambulance got to him and stopped the bleeding. And eventually they got him into an ambulance and brought him here and did a blood transfusion. So the main thing, he'll survive and he'll recover. But I don't know.
And a lot of other trauma to deal with after that.
The whole society here, this is what's going to happen in Australia. It's very, very sad.
We're very traumatised.
It's very sad that we've got to this point. So something's got to change. Something's really got to change in this place. Otherwise, who knows?
Was he at the event?
He was
on security, actually. On security.
Jewish security.
Yes, but they're not armed or anything. They're just there to watch and make sure. So when they started shooting, it was just
the wrong place,
at the wrong time. But they're lucky they just shot him in the shoulder, so he'll recover.
Yeah.
He had stories
major surgery tomorrow,
grandfather covering his granddaughter, and he was shot and killed protecting his granddaughter. Which is
the horrors they've seen today.
It's horrors.
Terrible.
Like my niece was there, and she said the horrors that you saw and bodies being covered up was just traumatic. It was like a war zone.
If you're just joining us, here's what we know about the Bondi terrorist attack so far. 12 people were killed, including one of the gunmen in a shooting targeting the Jewish community at Bondi Beach in Sydney.
Around 6:45 p.m, two shooters moved onto a bridge at the northern end of Bondi, next to a park where Hanukkah celebrations were taking place. The second shooter is in custody in a critical condition. Police are still investigating if a third person, still at large, was also involved.
Vision shows the men opening fire in the direction of the park. Beachgoers fleeing towards the southern end of the beach, away from the incident. At one point, a member of the public comes up behind one of the shooters, tackles them and takes their weapon off them. The Premier's called that man a hero and says he's undoubtedly saved many, many lives. Among the many others injured in the attack were two police officers. 29 people have been hospitalised, including at least one child.
A senior law enforcement official has confirmed that one of the gunmen was Naveed Akram from Bonnyrigg in Sydney's south. The official, speaking on condition of anonymity, said police have tonight raided Akram's home in Bonnyrigg.
Let's bring you some more of what Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said earlier tonight. He spoke after a meeting of the National Security Committee of Cabinet, condemning the shooting as an act of evil anti-Semitism.
He says Australia will eradicate hate, violence and terrorism. Let's bring you some of that press conference.
I'm joined tonight by Nigel Ryan, the Acting Deputy Commissioner for National Security for the AFP, and Mike Burgess, the Director General of ASIO. And we don't normally talk at confirmed meetings of the National Security Committee, but I think at this moment it is appropriate to tell Australians that the National Security Committee was convened as a matter of urgency, and we have just come from it. This afternoon there has been a devastating terrorist incident at Bondi at the Hanukkah by the Sea celebration. This is a targeted attack on Jewish Australians on the first day of Hanukkah, which should be a day of joy, a celebration of faith. An act of evil anti-Semitism, terrorism, that has struck the heart of our nation. An attack on Jewish Australians is an attack on every Australian. And every Australian tonight will be, like me, devastated on this attack on our way of life. There is no place for this hate, violence and terrorism in our nation. Let me be clear, we will eradicate it. Amidst this vile act of violence and hate will emerge a moment of national unity, where Australians across the board will embrace their fellow Australians of Jewish faith at this dark moment for our nation. Our police and security agencies are working to determine anyone associated with this outrage. Our agencies will provide you with factual updates as quickly as possible as they continue to emerge. The evil that was unleashed at Bondi Beach today is beyond comprehension. And the trauma and loss that families are dealing with tonight is beyond anyone's worst nightmare. Australians have had their lives cruelly stolen and many have been injured. For all Australians, our first thoughts are with those in the terrible early hours of their grief. We are also thinking of everyone being treated for their injuries, and many of whom are alive right now because of the courage and quick action of the New South Wales Police and the first responders who rushed to their aid, as well as the courage of everyday Australians who, without hesitating, put themselves in danger in order to keep their fellow Australians safe. We have seen Australians today run towards danger in order to help others. These Australians are heroes and their bravery has saved lives. As Prime Minister, I say, on behalf of all Australians to the Jewish community, we stand with you, we embrace you, and we reaffirm tonight that you have every right to be proud of who you are and what you believe. You have the right to worship and study and live and work in peace and safety, and you enrich us as a nation. You should never have to endure the loss that you have suffered today. You should never know the fear that you know tonight. We will dedicate every resource required to making sure you are safe and protected. You are Australian and all Australians are with you today and every day. My fellow Australians, I say tonight that there are nights that tear at our nation's soul. In this moment of darkness, we must be each other's light. Hold on to the true character of the country that we love. Australia is stronger than the cowards who attacked innocent people today. Australia is braver than those who seek to make us afraid. Australia will never submit to division, violence or hatred. We will see justice done and we will come through this together. I'd ask Acting Deputy Commissioner Ryan to make some comments and then Director General Burgess.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Firstly, our thoughts go out to the families and communities that have been affected by this senseless attack today. The AFP stands next to the New South Wales Police and with ASIO in our joint counter-terrorism arrangements. And we'll put all resources we can, all our specialist powers, all our specialist resources towards ensuring that this matter is investigated as thoroughly as possible. In relation to the Joint Counter-Terrorism Team, we have heard that there has been a declaration of a terrorist incident that will enable the AFP, along with ASIO and New South Wales Police, to use specialist powers in relation to this investigation. I don't wish to speculate in relation to any of the information that is currently known. This matter is ongoing. It is in its early stages, and we will continue to work with New South Wales Police to ensure that it's investigated as best as possible. Thank you.
Thanks, Nigel. Thanks, PM. ASIO was also a member of the Joint Counter-Terrorism Team, and our principal role at this stage is to support the police in their ongoing investigation. But at the same time, as is standard practice for us, we are looking at the identities of the attackers, and where that is known, we're looking to see if there's anyone in the community that has similar intent. It's important to stress at this point we have no indications to that fact, but that is something we have active investigations on. The national terrorism threat level remains at probable. I don't see that changing at this stage. Probable means there is a 50% chance of an act of terror, and unfortunately we've seen that horrific act occur tonight in Australia. Thank you.
A few questions. Charles?
Prime Minister, you've called this terror. Are you aware of any other terror threats at the moment, and what's your message to Jewish Australians who may not feel safe in Australia tonight?
My message to Jewish Australians is that your fellow Australians stand with you tonight in condemning this act of terror, in condemning this outrage. I've had a number of conversations with people tonight. One of the Jewish community leaders said to me that we know where anti-Semitism leads, that it leads to an attack on everyone, not just Jewish Australians. And this attack at Bondi Beach, of all places, a place of celebration, a place where people, particularly in Sydney, but from all over the world, come to enjoy each other's company, and to, in this case, at the Bondi Pavilion there. I'm very familiar with that pavilion. This senseless attack is one which is an act of terror. It is aimed at creating fear. But we will stand with the Jewish community and Jewish Australians at this time.
Prime Minister, in light of this attack, is the government going to move on any of the recommendations in the Special Envoy's report on anti-Semitism in Australia?
Yeah, we're continuing to work on all of those issues, including one of the things that you'll see is a request that had previously been made to be included in additional funding for security as well. And I know that it is, this is an incredibly tough time for the community to deal with this. It's important that they don't deal with it alone, that everyone stand with them at this time. And
Prime
then
Minister,
fill in there.
left unchecked, as you were just saying, anti-Semitism leads to terrorism and violence targeting the innocent. Your government has come under criticism in claiming that it has effectively responded to the rise of anti-Semitism in Australia since October 7, 2023. In September, your government recognised a Palestinian state. Your ministers have attacked the Israeli government. Senior ministers refused to visit the sites of the October 7 massacres, and you created a special Islamophobia envoy alongside an anti-Semitism envoy. Have you taken the threat of anti-Semitism seriously, and can you guarantee the safety of Jewish Australians?
Yes, we have taken it seriously, and we've continued to act. We've continued to work with Jewish community leaders. We've continued to take all the advice from the security agencies to put in place special measures, and we'll continue to do so. Phil?
For Mr Burgess or Deputy Commissioner Ryan, Mr Burgess, you've been warning for a long time about the risk of this sort of attack, localised extremism. I think, were any of these people on your watch list? I think the New South Wales Commissioner just said they were aware of one of these characters, that they were keeping an eye on him. Was he on either of your radar at all?
So it's too early to give you any more details, Phil, other than to say, like the New South Wales Police, one of these individuals was known to us, but not in an immediate threat perspective. So obviously we need to look into what happened here.
Mr Burgess, you mentioned that the chance of another attack is probable, or 50%. I'm just wondering, how does that mean that there is still a 1 in 2 chance of a follow-up attack? And does ASIO or the other security agencies take more precautions now that you've seen such a devastating attack?
So national terrorism threat level of probable means there's a 50% chance, so 1 in 2. Of course, that doesn't mean to say there's a connection to an immediate attack following this one. That is subject to our ongoing investigation. We have no indications that that is the concern at this stage, but of course we will work 24/7 along with our police colleagues to make sure that is the case.
Mr Burgess, given the events of earlier today, why can you sort of expand on your decision to leave the terrorist threat level at probable? And do you envisage that you will have further conversations about potentially adjusting the terrorism threat level in the coming days?
The national terrorism threat level is under constant review. One incident by itself does not necessarily raise the threat level at a national level, but we keep that under constant review.
Thank you.
That's the Prime Minister there speaking a little over 3 hours ago, coming in the wake of the biggest mass shooting seen in Australia since the Port Arthur massacre. And that, of course, was an attack that remains seared in Australians' memories. On Sunday evening, a matter of hours ago, 11 people were killed by the gunman in a terror attack targeted at Australia's Jewish community. An attack the PM there labelled as an act of evil anti-Semitism. Bella, we've been covering this for hours now. There's still a lot we need to know about what's happened tonight, but this attack is undoubtedly going to leave scars across the country. Thousands of people were there. The Jewish community in particular is grieving, and of course Bondi Beach is such an icon of Australia known the world over.
I think the nation is still coming to terms with the scale of this human tragedy. We know a number of lives lost, a number of people injured, but so many people attached to Bondi Beach who love this place, who feel safe. This is their ultimate place of leisure, and for such an act of terror to take place will rattle them to their core. And we know a number of people tonight are still in hospital receiving treatment, families still seeking answers. So a really serious and sombre evening in Australia.
We heard from the New South Wales government earlier as well. Let's revisit some of what we heard from the New South Wales Premier Chris Minns and the Police Commissioner talking about the police investigation and response. Chris Minns says the attack's being met with a massive, comprehensive police and public order response.
At approximately 6:47 this evening, 2 individuals began firing on a crowded group of families on Bondi Beach at Archer Park. This cowardly act of terrifying violence is shocking and painful to see and represents some of our worst fears about terrorism in Sydney. I very sadly need to report that as of now, there are at least 12 individuals that have been killed. One of the offenders has also been killed and one is in custody. This attack was designed to target Sydney's Jewish community on the first day of Hanukkah. What should have been a night of peace and joy celebrated in that community with families and supporters has been shattered by this horrifying, evil attack. Commissioner Lanyon will speak about the investigation, the police response, as well as the designation of this attack as a terrorism event in Sydney. I can assure the community it will be met with a massive, comprehensive police and public order response. Our heart bleeds for Australia's Jewish community tonight. I can only imagine the pain that they're feeling right now to see their loved ones killed as they celebrate this ancient holiday.
We know that there were many people there to celebrate a happy occasion, the celebration of Hanukkah, and there was well over 1,000 people there when this took place. As a result of the circumstances of the incident tonight, at 9:36 p.m. this evening, I declared this to be a terrorist incident. I have also authorised special powers under Section 5 and Section 6 to ensure that if there is a third offender, and we are currently investigating that at the moment, we will make sure that we prevent any further activity.
The ABC has had reporters at the scene all evening. One of our reporters spoke to a man at the scene who was shot at by one of the gunmen. He recounted the moment of that attack.
It's my first time I look this in my life. I am in Australia since 2 days. It's my first time. I say and my friend go in the beach. I say one friend, what is the best beach? He say me Bondi Beach. For me there is security. I go in Bondi Beach. One house, I go water. One house after, I look two men, mini sniper. He say in the pond white and bomb, 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 everything, every man, bomb, bomb. I look this, me, and one moment the man in the gun, he say me, this me, I go before the car, yes.
He aimed at you?
Moi, there is one car, I say this, I'm cashed. I listen, boom, boom, I cashed. Après, I look one mother, there is a, comment c'est dit ça in English? Bondi, he say what? Scary, and sleep in the sleep. Me, I ramass the mother because there is big, I go, he's carried, he say me, please, call hospital. I call hospital, I go on the one shop and pay one bottle for water, and me, my car is dead today. I look...
Your heart is dead today?
Yes, today I am scared to go to Bondi Beach. But no problem, but...
Well, this is obviously a story that has captured the world's attention as well. It's leading much of the world's media. We've seen statements of condemnation and condolences from many world leaders around the globe.
Israeli President Isaac Herzog has released a statement, and we can bring you that now.
Our heart goes out to them. Our heart misses a beat. The entire nation of Israel misses a beat in this very moment as we pray for the recovery of the wounded. We pray for them, and we pray for those who've lost their lives. We send our warmest strength from here, from Jerusalem.
And the United States has also strongly condemned the Bondi attack. The US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has taken to X, saying anti-Semitism has no place in this world. Our prayers are with the victims of this horrific attack, the Jewish community and the people of Australia. Well, before we go this evening, here's what we know about the Bondi terrorist attack so far. We know that 12 people have been killed in this attack that targeted the Jewish community at Bondi Beach in Sydney.
Around 6:45 p.m, two shooters moved onto a bridge at the northern end of Bondi, next to a park where Hanukkah celebrations were taking place. One shooter was killed and another is in custody.
Vision shows the men opening fire in the direction of the park. Beachgoers were filmed fleeing towards the southern end of the beach, away from the incident. At one point, a member of the public comes up behind one of the shooters, tackles them to take their weapon off them. The New South Wales Premier Chris Minns called him a genuine hero and says he's got no doubt there are many, many people that are alive tonight as a result of his bravery. Police say 12 people are dead, including one of the shooters. A second shooter is in police custody in a critical condition. And among the many others injured in the attack were 2 police officers. 29 people have been hospitalised, including at least 1 child.
A senior law enforcement official has confirmed that one of the gunmen was Naveed Akram from Bondi Beach in Sydney's southwest. The official, speaking on condition of anonymity, said police have tonight raided Akram's home in Bondi Beach.
Bella, this is obviously an event that is going to stick in people's memories for a long time, both the people affected who are going to have a long grieving process ahead. Everyone that was there, as we've been saying, this is the single biggest mass shooting event in Australia since the Port Arthur massacre in 1996.
And we're still coming to terms with the scale of this human tragedy. Many, many people involved, people in hospital receiving treatment as we wrap up our coverage tonight. Our thoughts are with their family.
ABC News Breakfast will have extended coverage tomorrow morning from the extra early start of 5 a.m, and we'll also have continued coverage across the day here on the ABC News channel. You can keep...
We were being terrorized. Somehow eBay was involved, and we didn't know why.
The story itself, you're like, oh, that didn't really happen.
Whatever it takes inside the eBay scandal. Tomorrow, ABC and ABC iView. Some stories never grow old.
There is no place like home.
From power and possibility,
I am fearless and therefore powerful.
To love and heartbreak.
I have loved none but you.
6 timeless classics reborn through the voices of a new generation.
I'm reading Frankenstein,
The Wizard of Oz, Animal Farm,
The Wind in the Willows,
My Brilliant Career.
I'm reading Persuasion for the ABC Listen app.
ABC Timeless Audiobooks, free and exclusive to ABC Listen.
There's something for everyone this Christmas from ABC Books. From best-selling author and biographer Grant Lee Keezer comes Mary Penfold, the story of a mother, wife, widow, and the brilliant winemaker who made Australian wine the envy of the world. In a time when women were shut out of commerce, Mary Penfold turned a cottage vineyard into a thriving empire. Mary Penfold by Grant Lee Keezer. Book and audiobook available in bookshops and online.
Miss Gulligal.
She's a natural.
It's a shame we can't be more like families now.
Detective, he'll play with fire.
I've been the artistic director here for 6 years and I'm in charge of absolutely everything.
Who's only here to find out how to delete the porn off their computers?
Jono's at the Ashes. He's also locked out of his house. This program is rated MA for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, coarse language, drug use, horror, nudity, sex scenes, sexual references, and violence.
Hush, thou wild child. Hush,
This program contains strobing effects.